जय जय राधाधर मधुमिलिंद जय जय राधाधर मधुमिलिंद जय जय रमारमण हरि गोविंद रमारमण हरि गोविंद जय जय राधा.
Namaskar. A very warm welcome to the 13th episode of Grantha Yatra. The sweet melody that you heard at the beginning is from the play Sangeet Saubhadra. That's the play we are going to discuss in today's episode. This play not only created history in Marathi literature but also in Marathi theatre and was written by Balwant Panduranga, also known as Annasaheb Kirloskar, in 1882. The story goes that Annasaheb's another play, Shakuntal, had proved to be extremely popular in the previous year. But all said and done, it was a Marathi translation of the Sanskrit play written by Kalidas, the well-known playwright. The writer in him was eager to create something original. He had been thinking about the story of Arjun and Subhadra. In those days, only mythological stories were considered worthy of attention. Kirloskar decided that this tale was suitable for play acting and he wrote the first 3 acts of Saubhadra. After reading that write-up, Mahadev Chimnaji Apte, a famous advocate in Mumbai High Court, wrote a letter to Kirloskar stating that your previous play Shakuntal was good, its lyrics were also good. But this new play has only 3 prominent emotions and thus there is little scope for variety in lyrics. In addition, this is not a tale that the viewers would like to watch. So it is suggested that you abandon the thought of writing a new play. But Annasaheb was a true playwright. He had complete confidence in his own writing and composing abilities. He arranged for performance of the 3 acts of Saubhadra the following month, and it received huge popularity. He then completed the play by writing the remaining 2 acts. Earlier in 1843, Vishnupanta Bhave had written Sita Swayamvar, the first play in Marathi. Kirloskar's play Saubhadra adorned the Marathi theatre with melody and launched the illustrious golden age of Marathi theatre. Although the play Saubhadra is based on a mythological tale, Kirloskar has painted it with new colors of his imagination. The epic Mahabharata contains a short account of the wedding of Arjun and Subhadra. Kirloskar has transformed it into a delightful love story. The protagonists in the play, Arjun and Subhadra, are childhood friends who have entered into an engagement in their youth. Later, Arjun unknowingly breaks a nuptial rule at Indraprastha. He inadvertently disturbs the privacy of Yudhishthir and Draupadi when they are together and leaves for a year-long pilgrimage to atone for that blunder. Unfortunately, Subhadra's elder brother Balaram decides to fix her marriage to the Kaurav prince Duryodhan just then. Because of his seniority and short temper, no one dares to oppose Balaram. Subhadra is trapped in this unfortunate situation. Incidentally, during his pilgrimage, Arjun arrives near Dwarka, the city where Subhadra resides. That is when he learns of Subhadra's impending marriage to Duryodhan. He gets so dejected that he decides to turn a monk. Just then, he meets the divine sage Narad, who advises him to enter into a temporary phase of monkhood so that if necessary, he could return to being a householder. Meanwhile, Subhadra is hopeful that her other brother Krishna would save her from the unwanted marriage with Duryodhan. How Krishna creates an elaborate conspiracy to make Subhadra's wish come true and the dramatic scenes arising from Balaram's propensity to take hasty decisions make for a great reading experience. This is perhaps the most popular musical play in Marathi. It is said that every theatre company in Maharashtra has performed this play at least once. And the main reason for this popularity is the lively characterization in this play. Viewers can easily identify with characters such as a playful Krishna who teases Subhadra, understands Balaram and charms Rukmini, a kind-hearted but short-tempered Balaram, a loving Rukmini who sympathizes with her sister in law, and the helpless princess Subhadra who pines for Arjun. In the very first act, Narad wins over the audience in his brief appearance. He meets Arjun in a forest near Dwarka, and this dialogue follows. Arjun: O great sage, where are you going in such haste? Narad: O Arjun, you have been travelling, and it seems you are unaware of the developments at the home of your maternal uncles. So listen. I am headed to Dwarka to attend the wedding, as Ram has promised his sister's hand to the Kaurava prince. Arjun: When one hears an unpleasant news, there are slim chances of its being untrue. Even when man experiences this time and again, he still falls for hope. Narad: But O Parth, why do you seem so dejected on hearing the news from Dwarka? Arjun: What can I say, my lord? When we were young and met each other, we then played happily together, and love blossomed as we grew up. They all believed Subhadra will marry me. Then Ram and Krishna, in consultation with the elders, though they had promised me, why did they let it end in this way? Narad: O Dhananjay, have they decided to give away Subhadra to Duryodhan when you two were already engaged? Then what Krishna has done is very inappropriate indeed. Arjun: O great sage, did Krishna too appreciate the decision of the matrimonial alliance with Duryodhan? Narad: How naive you are! You wouldn't expect him to deceive you thus. But please believe me, what I am telling you is the truth. Despite making promises to you, O Parth, Mukund has deceived you. Duryodhan is almighty. Looking at his wealth, you have been insulted and abandoned. Arjun: I feel what you say is true. There is no doubt that Krishna wants me to fail in the eyes of everyone. Narad: Look at what you are saying. Such words of dejection are not appropriate coming from you. You are a brave hero and an accomplished archer. Then why do you speak like a helpless person? You will win over many charming maidens, more beautiful than even Rati and Indira. Then you will not even glance towards Subhadra. Arjun: O great sage, there are two reasons for my depression. The first is that we both have been in love with each other for a long time, but unfortunately, we have been separated at the very time when we should have united in matrimony. And the second reason is that I have lost face because my very well wishers are giving away what rightfully belongs to me to none other than my sworn enemy. Narad: Ah, this I had not thought of. Now that I think about it, your situation is no doubt very sad. Arjun: Sir, just imagine how sad it is. The person I trusted, the one I thought considered me a dear friend, the one I worshipped, he has deceived me. If he thought I was not suitable for his sister, he could have given her away to any other king. But look how he is honoring my enemy. That makes me so very sad. Narad: Oh Arjun, now don't think about it anymore. The more you rub the coal, the darker the soot on your finger. I would advise you to complete your pilgrimage as soon as possible and return to your brothers. After a while, you won't feel so bad about this. Arjun: Oh no, what's the point of the pilgrimage or of returning to my brothers now? I don't want any of that. Even this life is a burden now. So please do me a favor. Narad: What is it? If it is possible for me, I'll certainly oblige. Arjun: Then, O sage, please narrate this entire episode to my dear brothers Dharmaraj, Bhim, Nakul and Sahadev and give them this final message from me. Narad: But hey, what are you planning to do after sending this final message? Arjun: I plan to end my life by some way or other. I am totally incapable of facing the world after undergoing such humiliation. Narad: What? Suicide? And by a Kshatriya like you? Sin, grave sin. Arjun: Why should I care for virtue or sin now? Narad: Why? One has to adhere to whatever would bring happiness in this world and the next. Arjun, then I'll turn a monk, eat roots and tubers and somehow survive in the woods, but I will have nothing to do with these people. Narad, yes, that's a good idea. But there's more to it. I shall tell you if you trust me. Arjun, is there anyone in this world who does not trust you? Sir, please guide me. Narad, now that you have decided to turn a monk, be a temporary monk, so that if destiny fulfills your wish, you can again become a householder. Even the conversations in this play are very entertaining. See the conversational skill of the writer in this scene. After turning a monk, Arjun begins to live in a cave near the town of Dwarka. Krishna spreads the news that he is a great holy man and sends his court jester to assess the effect of this rumor. The jester returns and narrates what he witnessed there. Jester, my dear friend, I have a question for you. Why are you so bothered about that sage? And what makes you think about him all the time? Krishna, why not? Look, that sage has attained non-attachment and he is a pure divine incarnation. I hope he will come and stay in Dwarka so that we can all pay our respects to him. Jester, and who told you that he is so great? Krishna, who else? Our Guru Sage Garg. Jester, let me tell you, even Sage Garg is an accomplice of this impostor. I shall complain about him to your elder brother. Krishna, run away, O fool! What harm has he caused you that you should complain against him? Jester, what harm? Listen then. My wife was also among the crowd that had gathered around that sage. She even offered him a basket full of oranges and sought his blessings. I didn't reveal myself to her then, but I was so angry that I wanted to hit that sage with this pole. Krishna, oh, and what blessings did your wife ask for? Jester, just that she should be blessed with a handsome husband like me in every birth. Krishna, ha ha, anyone who would call you handsome must be blind. Kirloskar has followed the rules of Bharata's Natya Shastra to a great extent in writing this play. He makes skillful use of techniques commonly found in Sanskrit plays such as soliloquy, disguise, and conspiracies. For example, when Arjun realizes that the woman kidnapped by the demon is none other than Subhadra, he reveals his feelings in front of the audience. But Subhadra, who is also present on the stage, is unaware of his dialogue because it is supposed to convey his inner feelings. Similarly, Arjun covers a sleeping Subhadra with his shawl and keeps her necklace with him as a keepsake. When both meet at the end of the play, Subhadra recognizes the Arjun in disguise through this necklace. Krishna weaves an elaborate conspiracy to get Subhadra married to Arjun as per her wishes and goes to the extent of making even sage Garg participate in the conspiracy. Details such as these and smart, colorful dialogue keep the audience engaged even when they are otherwise familiar with this mythological tale. This play has a total of 89 melodies. They became hugely popular and launched the shining era of Marathi Broadway. This play was enacted by well-known actors and singers. The 19th century audience listened to the songs in the play and watched its performance with great appreciation. The play also comprised 5 acts. So the play that would typically begin at 9 or 9:30 at night would end in the wee hours of the morning. When the final melody would begin in a rag Bhairavi, dawn would be breaking over the horizon. Today, we have with us Professor Arun Velandkar, who will tell us about the nuances of the melodies in this play.
बळवंत पांडुरंग उपाख्य अण्णासाहेब किर्लोस्कर यांनी लिहून सादर केलेलं संगीत सौभद्र हे नाटक म्हणजे अभिजात संस्कृत नाटकाचा मराठी अवतार आहे. मुळात ते अभिजात संस्कृत नाटक सुद्धा संगीत नाटक होतं, तेव्हा तो सर्व भाग संस्कृतातनं आला, पण त्याच्या आविष्कारासाठी जी विविधता लागते ती सामर्थ्य मात्र किर्लोस्करांचं आहे. तो साहित्यिक ढाचा त्यांना संगीत शाकुंतलाच्या रूपाने मिळाला आणि त्याचा आविष्कार त्यांनी आपल्या कल्पनेने केला. तो साचा त्यांनी सौभद्रामध्ये वापरला, परंतु अनुभवातून काही गोष्टी ते शिकले. उदाहरणार्थ 200 पदं शाकुंतलात होती, एकट्या दुष्यंताला 112 पदं होती. ती संख्या एकदम कमी झाली आणि सौभद्रात 89 पर्यंत ती संख्या आली. म्हणजे प्रयोग आटोपशीर व्हायला लागला. जे तंत्र त्यांनी आत्मसात केलं होतं की पद हे संवाद म्हणून, स्वगत म्हणून आणि गाणं म्हणून तिन्ही प्रकारांनी नाटकामध्ये वापरायचं. संगीत नाटकातला प्रश्न असा असतो की गद्य आणि पद्य यांचा सांधा कसा बेमालूमपणे साधला जाईल, कोणत्याही प्रकारचे अडथळे खडखडाट होणार नाहीत, धक्के बसणार नाहीत. यासाठी किर्लोस्करांची जी प्रासादिक रचना होती ती उपयुक्त ठरली. शिवाय नाट्यतंत्रदृष्ट्या त्यांनी काय केलं तर कीर्तनकारांनी अतिशय समर्थपणे वापरलेल्या सात्या दिंड्या यांचा आपल्या नाटकामध्ये सुळसुळाट ठेवला. काही मिनिटांनी सारखीच साती दिंडी आली की आपोआपच ऑर्गन वाजतो आणि संगीताचा स्वर त्याच्यामध्ये कायम राहतो. पण त्याचं आयोजन मात्र त्यांनी विशिष्ट प्रकाराने केलं. पहिला प्रकार असा आहे की अंकात जे काही झालं त्याचा समारोप अंकाच्या शेवटी साकीत करायचा. उदाहरणार्थ पहिला अंक बघा की अर्जुन सुभद्रा यांची भेट होते, पुन्हा ताटात तूट होते, शेला रत्नमाला पत्र यांची अदलाबदल होते आणि हे सगळं अर्जुनाला काहीच कळत नाही काय चाललं. ही त्याची अवस्था त्या अंकाच्या शेवटी साकीमध्ये येते. प्रिया सुभद्रा घोरमनी या निशाचरे भेटविली, हेची कळेना गुप्त कशी ती एकाएकी झाली, माया वश केले, माया वश केले, की मज स्वप्नाची ते पडले. त्यानंतर दुसरा प्रकार असा आहे की आधी पदात सूत्र येतं त्याप्रमाणे पुढे घडतं. आता ही दिंडी बघा कृष्णाची आणि कृष्ण रुक्मिणीच्या सुप्रसिद्ध शृंगारी प्रवेशाच्या आधी येते. बहुत दिननच भेटलो सुंदरीला, म्हणून धरुनी बैसेल रुष्टतेला, करीन जेव्हा मी बहुत आर्जवाला, पात्र होईन मग मधुर सुहास्याला. याच क्रमाने तो प्रवेश पूर्ण रंगत जातो. हे तर काहीच नाही, पण साक्या दिंड्या इतर सर्व प्रकारची पद्य अनेक वृत्त वापरत असताना एक विलक्षण प्रकार किर्लोस्करांनी केलाय की 5व्या अंकाच्या अखेरी एक साकी 3 पात्रांकडनं त्यांनी म्हणून घेतली आहे आणि नाटकाच्या आशयाच्या दृष्टीने अतिशय तो मार्मिक प्रयोग आहे. सुभद्रा आणि अर्जुन यांच्या विवाहाला विरोध बलरामाचा होता, म्हणून याची सुरुवात मुद्दाम बलरामाकडनं केलेली आहे. हा भगिनीचा करमी तव करी, धनंजया घे दिदला. मग अर्जुन म्हणतो अत्यादर पूर्वक मी त्याचा स्वीकार पहा केला. मग कृष्ण म्हणतो नांदा सौख्य भरे, नांदा सौख्य भरे, शोभो कुलतव सत्कुमरे. तेव्हा नाट्यपदाचा पदसिद्ध असा जो अधिकार आहे त्याचा पूर्ण मान राखत नाट्याभिव्यक्ती पूर्णपणे त्यांनी त्या पदांवरती सोपवली. मला असं वाटतं की सौभद्राच्या चिरतारुण्याचं खरं रहस्य पदांच्या या अत्यंत मार्मिक योजनेत आहे.
My grandmother would often recollect how the elders in the family would go to watch the play after putting the children to bed. By the time they returned home, it would be time for a hot bath and breakfast. Today, almost 150 years after the play was written, the audience is still mesmerized by its melodies. Watching a play is a great privilege, but even reading a play is a great source of entertainment. The play Sangeet Saubhadra is capable of providing both these types of joy. The link to the PDF version of this play is provided in the description of this video. Do read it there. Don't forget to like and share our channel, and if you have not subscribed to it yet, please do so now. We shall meet next Friday to listen to the bugle of a new age in Marathi literature. Until then, keep reading.
गोपसदन दुर्वनिंद खेलन, गोपसदन दुर्वनिंद खेलन, बलवस्तुति तेन निंद गोविंद जय जय बलव स्तुति तेन निंद जय जय रमा रमण हरि गोविंद रमा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय राधाधर मधुमिलिंद जय